Today we're on the third episode of the Whiskey Tango Foxtrot podcast, and I'm the host, James Ford, and today I have with me Seb, and Seb runs an organization that I found online through Instagram called VetWod, and their whole purpose is well, I might be wrong, but you can correct me, they run events through CrossFit style events to raise money for other nonprofits. Why don't you go ahead and tell me a little bit about yourself, Seb? Like, how long did you spend in the military?
Hey, so I was about 7 years, a little bit short of 8 years in the Air Force.
Yeah, okay. What did you do in there? Are you allowed to tell us or no?
Yeah, I am. So the first 4 years, I was a firefighter medic, and then the last 3.5 years, I was a flight medic doing air evac.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yep.
What was the most enjoyable part about doing all that? Like, what did you like the most?
Honestly, just being able to serve those that needed to be served, but also, man, just the friendships and the bonds that you create with, you know, your brothers and sisters that you just go to bat every single day, and the brotherhood, I guess.
Yeah. And so, how you started an organization called VetWod, which I found online, randomly, and I kind of fell in love with the whole idea of how you started it, and it's one of those organizations. It's like that everyone should get behind because it does a lot of good for the community. Can you tell us a little bit about that organization? Like, when did you start it? Like, what was it like starting it up? What was what's the primary goal behind the organization?
Yeah, of course. So VetWod, my friend Kate and I, a couple years ago, just decided to do an event that was going to benefit veterans and first responders that deal with PTSD or suicide, depression, and things like that. And we're both pretty active, and we coach in CrossFit, and I guess you can call athletes. So we've competed before, so we kind of wanted to take this concept of competing and having a healthy outlet to help cope with these issues, and also kind of having a good community and a very supportive system for these people, and for anybody really. The cool thing about what VetWod does is that it not only affects those dealing with these issues or friends or family, but just anybody, right? Because we all go through life, and we all have struggles, and we all suffer, I guess. So we just thought we'd make an event in which we can all kind of come together for a purpose and just have a supportive system. Well, that we meant to a one-time event type thing, and then it kind of just really took off, and people supported us so much, and I think we made such a great impact that at some point it was kind of like unspoken, where we were like, this is a thing. This is not just gonna be a one-time thing. This is a continue to be like a service-minded organization. So
yeah, we
just ended our second big event, but in between our big events, we have a bunch of challenges and giveaways, and we'll share like people's stories, and people will reach out to us, that are struggling or that have certain causes that they want us to support them with, so we support them. And so it's kind of really fluid, but it's all centered around giving back to the first responder and veteran community and those that support these communities.
Yeah. So on average, so like, what was you just did the second event, which I participated in, and then
right.
What was it like? Like, how many participants did you have in the first one compared to the second one?
The first one was something in the 300 range. I mean, I don't remember figures. And then for the second one, we had in the 500 range, I think, or almost 500 range.
Okay. That's a pretty big increase.
Yeah, we increased, and there was a lot of people that that could, this year with the CrossFit changes and just kind of the timing of everything.
Yeah.
There were some things that kind of got in the way, I guess, if you can say it that way. So, even with all the craziness and all the changes going on, to have our registrations increase was, we thought it was really good. So we're just thankful.
Yeah. So how many service members or veterans do you kind of like guess like are participating or have participated in the event so far?
Oh, that's a good question. I would say, oh man, that's a hard figure. Because a lot of people, some of them don't even share or let us know that they are veterans. So
yeah,
I would say just off the top of my head, from the that I know, I would say out of the almost 500 that participated this year, I would say like 200 at least.
Yeah. And so you guys, all the proceeds that you guys raise go to other nonprofits, right?
Right. So this year we gave them to Mission 22,
okay,
which their main goal is to end veteran suicide. So they do therapy services and they do like crisis intervention and things like that. And then this year we decided to do the Gallant Few, which is they focus more on helping veterans, first responders transition to being civilians.
Oh, that's awesome. Because that's kind of like a tough area too. It's like sometimes when you're getting out of the military, it's like you're leaving one community and you're practically going somewhere where there is no community at all. And so that's like a huge. I didn't even know that's what they did. I heard about them, but I didn't know that they helped like active duty members transition. That's awesome. That's really awesome.
Yeah, so they kind of do. If you go through to their website, they offer a lot of services, and just with whatever need comes up, they're very fluid as well, because not everybody has the same need, but it's centered around helping these people transition successfully to being a civilian and being taken in by their communities and just kind of functioning well.
Yeah. And what's the biggest like impact that you've seen some of these organizations do, like Mission 22 and the Gallant Few? What's the biggest impact that you guys have been able to provide that they've like been able to use?
The biggest what, sorry?
Like the biggest impact that you guys have provided for them.
Yeah.
That made the biggest impact for them.
Yeah, so typically when I do, I'm a very like visual person. So when I say like I'm donating for a cause or I'm doing, even what we do with VetWod, I want to kind of like see here. So like, how many people can we help with X amount of dollars, or almost kind of put a face and a name to what we're doing. And so I know even of participants or VetWod that they have used the Mission 22 services, and it's helped them to transition very well. So it's, they're the groups on the ground, boots on the ground, hands in the community, actually providing these services. And a lot of times they just don't have the funds, or they're kind of limited by funds or by, just like the impact, not impact, but the exposure that they have. So what we kind of do is we bridge that by creating funds for them and also helping people to know that there are these services and there are these organizations that do provide these services.
Yeah, that's awesome, because like sometimes you get out and like some organizations provide community, and then some it's nice to see like a band of different organizations that do different things, and they don't just focus on like taking them out on like doing community events or like doing this or that. They're actually helping them either with what stuff that they're dealing with, or they're helping them with their transition. back into civilian life. So it's really kind of nice to see these different organizations, because I'm so used to the organizations that just provide community. I never really saw, when I got out, I never really saw an organization that helped us transition. It was just like they kind of just booted us out and was like, good luck. Like, so like I wonder like how well known some of these organizations are, like on bases when active duty members are getting out, that they, or like I wonder like how well people, active duty members, know about these different resources that they can use that weren't there before. You there?
Okay. Yeah. So in my experience, these organizations are not really highlighted very well when we get out.
Yeah.
So I actually it's going to be a year next month of my 1 year separation. So I just recently went through that transition, and I don't remember other than them saying the VA is there and the help, like the crisis line is there. Like I don't really remember them mentioning specific organizations, So
yeah, there wasn't.
I'm sure if you asked them, like they would have sent you somewhere else or given you the info. But an organization like Mission 22, for example, or the Gallon Fee, like they were never mentioned, and the only reason why I know about them is because some of my friends have found them through basically social media or like a Google search, and they use them, and these are organizations that are also very intertwined, so around fitness. So because I'm an athlete, because I work out a lot, and that's kind of like how I cope. I know about these organizations, but say for the person that doesn't work out or doesn't have a friend that is connected to them, like some of these organizations, like you just wouldn't ever know that they exist, right? So a lot of what we do is kind of raise awareness and kind of bring attention to these organizations. So
it's kind of interesting because I went through, when I got out, it was through the Center for the Intrepid, which is a huge ordeal for wounded athletes or wounded veterans, not athletes, but it's they provided a lot of support for us, but we still, there was a few organizations, but they really didn't no one really helped us with the stuff that we might have been dealing with and transitioning out too at the same time. There was nothing that existed. And they provided us all these different things, but it's just nice to see this. So you guys have been around. You guys have done 2 events. What's the what's the guesstimate on money that you've raised for these organizations combined so far?
So last year we broke 10,000.
Okay.
I think it was it ended up being something like 10,000 and some change. And then this year we're finalizing, financials, but it seems like it's going to be in the $13,000 range.
Oh wow, that's a lot of support. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
and that's
huge amount.
Like I said, I'm a very a logistic oriented visual person, so that's just the actual tangible money that we're going to give to the organization. But we also have a lot of donations from companies that they've just sent us or just sponsored us, supported us, so that we can use all of them for prizes or giveaways. So they may not be money, but they do have a money value to them. So probably if I would had it, haven't ran those numbers yet, but I would say with all the partnerships, I would say that's another $4,000 to $5,000 probably.
So it's kind of like auctioning off stuff.
Yeah, so they, some of them actually also even donate money, but they donate some of their products, or they give us discounts, or they give us vouchers so that we can use those for the athletes or for the giveaways,
That's
or
nice.
as incentives.
Okay.
Yeah, so we do we use some of them for incentives so that people can sign up, and
Okay.
so that we can buy stickers and we can buy patches and things like that. So the what we're gonna give to Gallon Few is in the $13,000 range, but we also have a lot more support from our partners, which I take that into account too, because if that wasn't the case, then out of those $13,000, we would have had to have purchased all these prizes and all these things. So you don't see it in the money value, but it's product. It has a money value to it. So I like to always say that as a way also to thank our sponsors and our partners that have been so great with us.
Yeah, yeah. So what? I just had a question in my head and it totally disappeared. But
It'll come back.
yeah, yeah. So like I'm kind of like locally, like I'm not no way affiliated with Team RWB, but I know that they I kind of teamed up with them out here because it's a small area. It's the only nonprofit in this area, in this part of Texas, that even helps veterans with anything or does anything with veterans, for that matter. But I did notice, like, on their schedule, that they do like community workouts. Have you ever thought, like, apart as being like a VetWod, have you ever thought about like posting like community workouts for veterans to do, or like what other organizations have you partnered up with that have made a big impact?
Yeah, so at first this was supposed to be what it is now. So we're kind of we kind of grew more than some companies or organizations grow. So we've kind of had to learn as we go.
Yeah.
And it just so happened that it's been, we started VetWod during the time that was the busiest for Kate and I. I mean, Kate just had a baby like right before VetWod started. So I think her son is like maybe a month old, maybe a couple months old. So, and I just graduated grad school and I have 2 kids. So
yeah.
All that to say that we have done as much as we could, but we have a lot of things in the works and just ideas and drafts of things that we want to do.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we have talked about and thought about is doing a weekly workout or a quarterly workout, and regionally, and just kind of being able to do more, as well as eventually doing like once a year in-person event that is kind of centrally located for a lot of people that can kind of come out and it just be, a competition / like a festival and like a meet and greet type deal. So we have thought about doing more, and as we grow and as we get more and more established, we're gonna roll out with more things.
Yeah, yeah. I was in a competition with a long time ago when I first got into CrossFit. And it was kind of a fun one. I don't know like how many other adaptive athletes were in the program, but it was a competition based off of it was able-bodied people versus the adaptive athletes. And so it was interesting because all the able-bodied people had to do the workouts adaptive style.
Okay.
So like if there was like workouts that required the adaptive athletes where they could only use, if you're like missing an arm and they could only use an arm, or if there was a problem with an arm, the able-bodied people could only use one arm for that workout. Or if there was a workout, an event where, like, if you have a lower leg disability, you're missing a leg, the able-bodied people had to adapt to it the same way the adaptive athletes did. And then it was basically like a competition between the able-bodied and the adaptive athletes, but with an adaptive twist to it. So it was kind of interesting. But like how
that sounds really cool, because it kind of, for one, it kind of creates awareness, but also it levels the playing field and it just makes it interesting.
Yeah, it does. So like down here in Texas, I think I'm friends with a lot of like civilian adaptive athletes. I know a couple military adaptive athletes, but it was kind of interesting because I didn't know that there was like all this adaptive stuff for CrossFit, and so it kind of allowed me to build a bigger community. And then I started finding more veterans in it. Like, do you see like that building up within VetWod too? That kind of a community.
Yeah, so we, a lot of VetWadders are actually adapted athletes too, and I know, being a veteran, I know a lot of friends that have lost a limb or have been just wounded or whatever, but we were gonna do a adaptive division this year, but we just didn't quite we couldn't quite figure out the logistics, and instead of launching something that wasn't going to be successful, or had a lot of questions about, we just kind of allowed people to come in, regardless of whatever disability or whatever the issue was. And then our plan is by next year to have a full running division of adaptive athletes and just really service that population as well.
Yeah. So on a range, like are there a lot of the adaptive athletes civilians or are they veterans?
The ones that I know more veterans that are adaptive athletes than civilians. I do know a couple civilians. We had a couple civilian adaptive athletes participate this year, and probably more military. But being a veteran and being in kind of that community, I know a lot more adaptive athletes that are veterans.
Yeah. I know. I only know a few. I was just curious, but have you thought about partnering up with like VetWod and let them kind of figure out the logistics for an adaptive division?
Yeah, so VetWod and CrossFit Adaptive, and there's been a couple of different groups or coaches that I'm in touch with.
Okay.
And once we finalize this event that just ended and start planning for next year, then we'll figure out what's the best case for everybody, because a lot of these companies or coaches, they have a lot of events. We may not hear about some of the adaptive competitions or events that are happening.
There's a lot.
So many happening that a lot of them just have busy schedules or just conflicting initiatives. So once we figure out what we're gonna do, when we want to do it, and things like that, then things will start shaping up, and we'll figure out who's actually gonna lead that. I have a few different options, and friends or people that I know that said that they would help in any way they can, and we just have to kind of go to the drawing board and figure it out.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of cool. So as far as growth, where do you see VetWod going in the future with how these past 2 years have gone? How do you see it growing?
So I see us growing. So we're still going to do the one event a year, which is going to be our event. But we're also partnering with a lot more nonprofits or other organizations that are doing events and kind of co-hosting other events.
Oh, that's cool.
So doing more like a community, pitching in for greater cost type events, and then we're going to continue to do the challenges that we do and do giveaways. But I also want to figure out a system that we can continuously work and just offer that to these populations. So, for example, if you're a veteran or a first responder that's transitioning out of that job, or that moved somewhere, or that is just struggling in general, and you may or may not have the funds to go to a gym, then ideally, if we could if we could sponsor you for a couple months until you transition or get on your feet, we'll pay for your gym membership, and then that way you can go to the gym and kind of use that as a healthy coping mechanism. Then I think that'll benefit the person.
That's
so
huge.
Gym memberships. Sorry, go ahead.
That's huge. Keep going.
Yeah. So I'm listening. Sorry. So gym memberships, and also, some people, like for example, in my case, like I would say 98% of what I do when I'm out is in my garage because I'm married and I have 2 little ones, so I don't have time to go to a gym. So maybe for those people that can't really leave their house, then maybe we'll send you a pair of, a little set of equipment that you can actually do something in your house with, and that way, we have the support system that we're giving you, and you're connected with other people that do VetWod, and just the community. But we're also providing a way for you to use it as an outlet. And so these are some of the ideas that we have that we're going to start to incorporate, as well as just bigger events like December. We have, and it's kind of, this is still, it's official as in we're doing it, but we haven't came out with this yet. We're starting to now. We're doing an event with barbells for bullies.
Okay.
And it's called Sit Rep, and it's basically going to benefit Operation Sidekick, which what they do is rescue and train dogs to be service dogs.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so Barbell for Bullies, their goal is to stop the killing of these dogs, to rescue them, and to find them homes. Yeah. And our goal is to help our veterans and first responders and anybody really to cope with PTSD and suicide and depression in life and all these things. So we're uniting, and in a sense, we're saving dogs and saving humans. Yeah. All in one. So it's I'm really excited about it, and it's a really cool thing coming out. But we're going to be doing a lot of more of that partnering with other organizations as well, and just kind of having initiatives that help not just even our community, but like even more communities.
Yeah, that's awesome. You could reach out more. That's really cool. That's like some amazing stuff going on. Because I've always thought that working out is like, even if you're just doing it by yourself, it's still good for you. You're releasing chemicals, you're bringing in new chemicals in your brain. It's working out in general is good for you, and then even doing it at a gym, where there's a community of people, even if they're not veterans, it's still good for the people. And I think that's amazing that you'll cater to like first responders too, because that opens your doors up more, and it's like because they kind of experience similar issues that veterans experience. That's awesome. That's some amazing things going on. Wow, I'm excited. I'm excited to see VetWod grow and see where you guys take it. I can't. I'm glad I found you guys.
Us too, for sure.
Yeah. So what's the next? What's the next things going on for VetWod? Like in the next couple months.
So in the next month, we are hoping to finalize the event and cut the check and send it to Gallant Few, and then we still have a couple of prizes that I have to deliver to some gyms and do a couple more giveaways. So kind of like the last little bit of the closure for the event, and then ramp up again for our event that we're having with Barbell for Bullies in December. Okay. So it's kind of quiet right now. We're doing some things behind curtains really, but then soon it'll start ramping up again for that event.
All right. Well, that kind of wraps up our episode. You want to let the viewers know where they can find information about VetWod and stuff you guys are doing?
Yeah, for sure. So VetWod.com is what we use for registration and events and all that. You can find information there. And then on Instagram, it's at VetWod. And you can always call us or DM us, reach us any way you want to. And we're pretty active and pretty good about getting back to people. So, whether the person is struggling or they want us to support them in their venture or whatever the case may be, we're always open to talk to people and just collaborating with everybody.
That's awesome. So there it is. Thanks, Seb, for coming on and telling us about you and VetWod, and we're looking forward to seeing where you guys go and where VetWod goes with this. I appreciate you coming on here and talking.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate you for having me.
Yeah, no problem. You guys heard it. You guys can find him on VetWod.com and on Instagram at VetWod, and you guys can reach out to him for any information you guys might need. I appreciate you guys coming on.